Welcome to my episode 3 of Cat Unmuted. And if you're liking what I'm off or talking about so far in my 3 episodes and this 2 episodes in this one, like and subscribe. And I have other outlets. If you want to know where I'm at, you can find my socials in my website, joshandcat.com. Josh, the letter N, cat.com, under our story. And there should be a button that says follow on our socials. And you'll be able to find everything there. Um, okay, so in my last episode, I talked about my bugs, right? I took this one from up there. Anyway, um, one thing I didn't talk about is this duck. In every book, there is a duck on top of a Jeep. Well, this one doesn't have a Jeep, but it has a duck. Okay, so let me show you this one. That's an actual rubber duck, and it is what is that? It's one of those blow up thingies for the pools, the inflatable pool toys, right? And that thing is 5 feet tall from like the bottom of its base to its head. That's 5 feet. I'm 5'5", by the way, so it's almost as tall as I am. And this is my actual Jeep, and I do in fact have vinyl that says luckythebyrd.com on it, and that website does exist. And it takes you straight to my website, but the point is, it exists, and all of this is real. And this picture was taken by me. I was on my way to the gym, and I got out of my Jeep and saw that there was a double rainbow. In the video, you can't really tell that there's a double rainbow. Actually, you can't really tell there's a double rainbow here either, but when you see the picture, there's a double rainbow. Anyway, um, why the duck? Why the Jeep? You know what I mean? Like, why is it called Lucky the Bird? And why the duck? Okay. Um, when I was going through my miscarriage, actually, before the miscarriage, I love my Jeep. I have a 2019 Jeep Wrangler, a Sport, um, and I love that thing. And every summer, I had to blow up my candle. Um, every summer, I take all the doors off, the top off, and put a bikini top on, and excuse me, and I drive it around like that in the summer. And I live in New Mexico, so weather doesn't really happen, so it's easy to just take the top off and drive around. And if rain does happen, it's literally for minutes. And if I get completely soaked, I am dry by the time I get home. I kid you not. Like, I'll be soaked from head to toe and be completely dry by the time I get home. So that's the kind of environment I live in right now. So it wasn't hard for me to just drive around with the top off every day. People questioned it, but I was like, I'm going to be dry by the time I get home, so who cares, right? So anyway, so that's the Jeep. I've had this Jeep since 2020. It's a 2019, but I got it the year after. And the duck, well, if you know anything about ducks and Jeeps, people like to duck each other, especially if they like the way other Jeeps look or whatever the case may be. I think they just duck each other for fun. Not all Jeepers are like that, but most people who do have ducks lined up in their windshield, under their windshield, those people love their ducks. So anyway, while I was going through my miscarriage, I was in this stage where my postpartum depression had put me in a state of numbness. I didn't have a word for it at the time, but I was so numb and I couldn't feel. Like I had no emotions. I felt like a zombie, honestly. And I was desperate to feel. I didn't care what I don't care how, when, or how, what. I just needed something to happen to make me feel, right? And I went through the process of seeing all these things through TikTok, Instagram, or whatever I was like flipping through. Like I was trying to find inspirations for me to do, to feel, to start feeling. And I can't remember what I saw because it all happened so fast. I saw something that made me go to Amazon and look for a an inflatable ducky. And that's when I found that particular ducky. And I said, I told my husband, I was like, I saw a 5 foot ducky, inflatable duck, and I want to get it and put it on top of the Jeep. I wanted it to lay right there. I didn't care how we were going to tie it down, but I was going to make it happen, right? He looked at me like I was crazy, but I was like, no, I'm serious. He didn't know how serious I was until I had it in the cart and I showed it to him. I was like, I found it. And I purchased it. And I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm pretty sure he was still thinking I was crazy. Anyway, when I got it in the mail, though, I was still at work and Josh was home. So because he knew how excited I was about it, he put the duck up into my Jeep. Um, No, he didn't. I was driving my Jeep. Oh, he had it blown up so that it was ready for it to be put into my Jeep. That's what it was. So when I got home, he had the inflatable duck in the driveway waiting for me. So I knew what to do. I was like, okay. So backed up so that we can like figure out what to do with it. And I went to the bathroom real quick and came back, and this is what he did. He put it right there, just like that, and with tie straps, toe straps, and he had two of them, like crisscrossing, and it's from on its back around the wing. You might be able to see it if you look closely. Yeah, you can on either side of the wing. Like there's a little strap there, and that's the part that you can adjust. Anyway, um, he had it in there just like this, and I was like, no, I want it on top. I want it right here on the rooftop. And Josh says, you're going to cut off its head. I was like, no, I'm not. And he was like, have you seen the way you drive? You're going to cut off its head. I'm like, okay, fine. I was like, my argument was nobody was going to see it. And Josh was like, there's a big, humongous duck in your fucking Jeep. How will anybody not see that? Like, nobody's going to fucking miss it. I was like, okay. So I let him do that. And then I drove around it the next day, and people were honking more so than usual, and I couldn't figure it out. But on my way home, I realized they were honking at me. And I was like, are they honking because they don't like it or they like it? I couldn't figure it out. So I, what did I do? Um, I think I waved at them just in case it was I like your duck honk. But the next day I had people honking at me and actually yelling that they loved my duck and all this stuff. So anyway, every day I was getting these feedback, and it brought joy to my inner child. Like I realized that down the road that it was really giving me joy to my inner child. It wasn't necessarily anything else. Like it just made me really happy, and um, uh, that made me want to keep it. And I drove that thing around for the entire year, as long as it wasn't too cold. Because if you can imagine what rubber does in the cold, it gets really stiff and it like blows a hole. So as long as it was warm enough for it to be ridden around with it in my Jeep, I did. And that was practically from about from May to October. October was getting rough, but I wanted to keep driving. I drove it around a couple of times during December. Oh no, I didn't. That's a lie. Whatever the case is, I drove it around for a long time in the year 2024. Anyway, um, while I was driving around, I was like, because I was getting so much feedback with it, I was like, I need to make a fan page on Facebook, on Instagram, all of that. They don't exist anymore, but they did during that year. But I was like, I need to give it a name, like, what should we name it? And me and my husband, my brother at the time was living with us, and um, I liked the word lucky just because it I felt like that's what it was with Lucky the Bird. It gave me that feeling that, I'm lucky I even found this duck that gave me feeling, that made me feel, helped me make me feel. So I did that. Um, yeah, Lucky became its name, but I wanted to be like Lucky the Duck or Lucky the Ducky or something like that. And I looked it up, and that's everywhere. Everybody uses Lucky Ducky or Lucky the Duck or whatever. And so I was like, I want something, I don't want it to be so oversaturated, the name. So I decided to keep searching around. I was like using ChatGPT. I call my ChatGPT Dingus, by the way. I asked Dingus so many like suggestions, like what can I my uh call Lucky to something, and I could not find anything that made it sound right. Like I didn't like any of them. And then my brother was like, well, what about bird, BYRD, and it'll stand for uh big yellow rubber duck. I was like, that is genius. Let's use that. So that's how it became Lucky the Bird. Um, yeah, so the moment we realized that I made all, or, figured out its name, I created all kinds of pages for it, and it was so much fun. Like, because it didn't go as far as I wanted it to, but I had on social media, several people had like posted on their respectable neighborhood pages, uh, and they would put like they'll take a picture of Lucky the Bird and put it on their whatever groups that they're part of, and uh, oh, it was so much fun. So I would literally go to them and say, post it on my thing because I want people to like post more pictures about of Lucky without me, And it was only for 1 year, so it didn't really go that far, but it was so much fun to see people taking pictures of Lucky and putting it on Facebook and Instagram, and I would see it. And Josh was like part of different groups, and he would see them and send a picture of it to me, and it just every single time made my day. Um, yeah, anyway, it was so much fun. So that's how I came up with the bird, or Lucky the Bird. And um, once I did that, though, I didn't know how to like really spread the word. So that's how I came up with the website, luckythebird.com, just so that there's a place for people to go to and find the socials and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's a big part of the story to Lucky the Bird. Uh, yeah, and these two is kind of obvious. This is the birth of Lucky the Bird through a miscarriage, and this one is Lucky the Bird standing by her side through a miscarriage. Like it's obvious that it's for um, people who are going through it too, just so that they are supported in a different way, right? This one I called Turning the Page because it literally, like in my last video, I said it, because of the miscarriage, it um, it put me through a financial crisis, a rock bottom. Um, it was a big rock bottom. It wasn't just a financial rock bottom because I lost friends and I changed my identity, as you know, my professional identity, all of that. Like everything was changing, and literally everything that was happening was a step in turning the page to my next chapter. And so that's why I call it Turning the Page. Um, well, I'm not going to give away too much, but like, yeah. So that's why I called it that here. And there's a lot of people who helped me through my situation in this book, and I have um, in the acknowledgments, I thank everybody that was part of my healing, and also a resource page of all the people that helped me through my situations. Anybody who has a business, you know. So yeah, yeah, I put it all in there because I want everybody to know these people. They are like everybody I've mentioned in these books. They're amazing people. So I thought they had every right to be blasted if they wanted to be in there. Um, yeah. If there was anything else you want to know about the book, because that's all um, I have to say about them. I thought it was going to take more than just under 20 minutes. I was hoping it was going to take me a whole half hour to talk about this, but it didn't. So yeah, ask me if there are any questions, but you know, without me having to like give off the entire book out into a a recording instead. Don't make me do that. But if you're interested in reading the book, I do have them on Amazon. And but oh, I should probably add that if you buy my books on my website, if you do buy them on my website, I sign them personally to you and I wrap it up just like that. And it's got all kinds of stuff in it. So I like put a ribbon on there and a little sticky note or a sticker that says thank you from Lucky the BYRD. And I have little knickknacks in there. This is a little napkin, if you can believe it, that looks exactly like a rubber duck. And I add a little tea to go with it under it. I'm trying to find it, but it's in there. Oh yeah, it's way in there. I won't be able to pull it out. But anyway, that, and I have a little um, wristband right there. And this is since it's a Christmas time, I have like a little Merry Ducking Christmas on there. It's a box. And it has a little Christmas duck in there. And it's a box breathing little thing. Like it tells you how to do a box breathing. It's a type of breathing that can help you regulate your nervous system. Um, yeah, and I have stickers, and this feather right here is a pen. As a matter of fact, I have one sticking right here, and they actually write. Isn't that cute? Stickers, a sticky note that's actually transparent so that you can put it in the book and highlight or underline the words or sentences that resonate. So that's provided in there. What else is in here? I think that's about it. But right now, that's what I'm doing. But if there are I'm going to run out of them. And if they're not available to purchase anymore, I might do something else. So it might be ever changing. So depending on the timing, the items in here will change, but it's always going to be a little fun little thing because it's fun for me to do that. Anyway, I think it's cute, right? Isn't that adorable? Just like that. Yeah, so if you want it signed and wrapped, you can purchase them on my website. No matter which one because I think the one that's sold as a set is the only one that shows it wrapped. But um, they're all going to be wrapped. It doesn't matter. I'm going to sign them all and wrap them all. Um, but if you don't care about it being signed or wrapped or whatever, then you can go into Amazon and get it from there. But just an option. It's going to be a little bit more pricier than Amazon just because of what I put into it. So, all right. I hope that helped you get to know the books a little bit more. And like and subscribe if you like what you heard. And I'll see you next week. Bye.